Welcome to the Wednesday Warrior Wrap-Up, where we take a look at some of the awesome news and reveals of this week. First up on the Wednesday Warrior Wrap-Up, we have a look at the G.I. Joe Classified Series news from Hasbro. First up, there's the fan vote for G.I. Joe going on right now, the Hall of Fame fan vote, as well as the Transformers fan vote, which we'll talk more about later. But for the G.I. Joe fan vote, there are two categories. You're going to vote for a real American hero character from the old classic figures, 3-inch stuff and things like that, and the comics and everything. And then the second thing you're going to vote for is the classified figure of 2025 that you like. There's quite a few. I did not realize how many we got this year, so it was a hard one for me to choose. But yeah, those will be going on. I will have the links to both these fan votes in the description down below, along with anything else today that we talk about that is available. So we'll get that out of the way. Next up, we have a look at something they decided to do over the week. It is a retro event they're doing for the retro carded line of 6-inch figures, and apparently Flint has snuck into the Hasbro warehouse and has swapped 82 of the retro Flints with special art variants. And they kind of look cool. I'm worried that I'll get one and then I'll have a hard time. I won't want to open it up because it's a collector piece. I'll want to give it to someone who actually will care for it, because I just want the figure and I want to open it and play with it. So I'm hoping that I get just the generic one. I have heard some rumors at an event I went to where some fans were talking about it, that someone ran it through a system and it was found out to be AI art, possibly. I hope that's not true and it's just hearsay and rumor, but I am definitely curious. So if anyone out there has any information on this, who watched this video and can confirm or deny that it is not AI art, because that would be disheartening to see that happen. I know that companies are using more and more AI to do things. I'm pretty sure that's why the Studio Series 86 Soundwave had a YouTube play button on the bottom left of the packaging. Either that or whoever was in charge of the packaging put together didn't notice that. But yeah, so this is something cool for G.I. Joe fans. I'm hoping it is the legit art from the artist and that it is, nothing to do with AI, because I feel like artists should get their opportunity to, make stuff, and that they should still get to work with companies, because I love a lot of the package artists that work for Hasbro. I've met them at events and conventions, and they're all really talented and amazing people. And I would hate to see things go that way when it comes to packaging. Because if you're not going to, use an actual artist, then just make it generic packaging with a cell image from the cartoon or from the movie or whatever you're doing. But don't, you don't need to waste your time with AI when you could just do like they used to when it came to here's a scene of this character in the movie that this figure's from. Put it on the backboard and put it on the side of the packaging and boom, there you go. But I do like, the really cool art that is done on stuff. But I'm getting off topic. We also have two digital render reveals of two figures that were named only at first, but now we have looks at them. First is, I think it's Hit and Run or Cut and Run. I can't remember the name of the character off the top of my head. Really cool looking figure. I'm looking forward to getting it. Definitely something you could probably, if you're just a military toy fan, could use, to troop build. But I know for me, it's just the name character, so I'll probably get one. We got the retro green shirts for troop building if we want to, or the Steel Brigade. Characters. And then next up, this is definitely a troop builder, and some lore based fun, new stuff. The Stage 2 Mole Rat. This is the same figure, I think, as the original one that came out at Walmart. I'm sure this will be a Walmart Con event exclusive, or it could be, general mainline. We'll find out more later on at New York Comic Con, which is happening later on this October. And we're going to be getting that one in this new cool green outfit with more of the infection. And as you know from the story, they are going after Dark Energon and it affects them. And now they look like this. And there is a new head sculpt that has more crystals coming out of it, which looks really cool. So you can put that probably on your old mole rats if you want to. I don't know if the colors will match up with the original suits, but really cool looking. So that's what we've got for G.I. Joe this week. In Transformers toy news, first up, like we talked about, the fan vote for the Hall of Fame is happening for Transformers. Instead of 2, they get 3 to choose from. First up is the Transformers Age of the Primes figure that you like the most. And then next up is the Transformers Studio Series figure you like the most. I'm sure you can guess which one I'm voting for on this list. I'll let you know. It's a leader class character that I'm very excited we got. And then thirdly, instead of being a character I don't know if last year this was the same 3 or if it was just the character and a figure, but this time it's the exclusive figure of this year, from the Comic-Con exclusives to the Amazon exclusives to the Target exclusives. So you get to pick one of them. There's a lot of things from Studio Series and Age of the Prime mixed in there, so it's kind of a way to get another Studio Series or Age of the Prime or a convention one like the Void Rivals one to be on this list. But no character for Hall of Fame this time around. I don't know why they didn't pick a character this time. I know that last time I think it was Lugnut that won, or no, was it Skybite? I think it was Skybite. It was either Skybite or Lugnut. I know they both won at some point, and then Knockout. Because we're still waiting for a Lugnut figure, because the other 2 have gotten figures now. But yeah, really cool stuff to vote for. Just some awesome, fan interaction stuff, kind of like the fan vote Transformer. Then we've got a lot of stuff. First, we've got something from a company that works with Hasbro. 3-0 is doing the cone heads using the Seeker mold they have. Just like any time when we get Seekers, we're going to get that mold used over and over again. So we got Thrust that's available for pre-order right now on BBTS and Entertainment Earth, and I'm sure it will be on Hasbro Pulse soon enough. But we get to see a look at Ramjet and Dirge also, and I really like the way they look in this kind of form. Really cool. And then on the Takara side of things, with all the stuff they're doing, they had a bunch of reveals. First up, we got a look at the next MPG, which is going to be a animated deco version of the Masterpiece Sideswipe. Nope, not Sideswipe, Soundwave. Sorry, we're going to be talking about Sideswipe later. We're getting the animation colored Soundwave using, I believe, the old mold of the toy accurate looking one, and it's going to come with Laserbeak, or Condor, I think is what it's called in Japan. Cassette Condor, and it's going to come with all kinds of cool accessories. It looks like we're getting a swap of accessories from the Megatron gun to another Energon cube this time around. And then we are getting, like I said, a movie Masterpiece line. We're going to be getting Sideswipe from the movie, so I'm very excited for that one. I'm a Sideswipe fan, and I loved him in the movies too. So this is very exciting. And then when it comes to the Takara side of collabs, like we've gotten the Godzilla stuff and the Macross stuff, we are going to be getting a Evangelion collab. We've had one before with Masterpiece Optimus Prime. Now we're going to get one with what looks like the Evasion mode Optimus Prime. You can see the vehicle mode is a truck mode. The robot mode is a mixture of the EV Unit 1 and movie Optimus. It looks really cool. Even the weapons are kind of a collab. They have the Energon axe that also is the spear that was one of the weapons from Evangelion. Just a really cool looking collab, and I'm sure instead of being the reds and blues, it's going to be purples and yellows accents here and there. So it's going to be really cool to see when they finally have the painted prototype and the official product. So I'm very excited for that. But yeah, just some cool Transformers news this week. Let me know in the comments down below which of these things you're most excited about. Some more Transformers news, but not so much only Transformers. The Masters of the Universe Mattel Creations Scareglow, which we kind of knew from the mini comic that came with the Megatron and Bumblebee, that they were going to do Scareglow as Starscream and He-Man as Optimus Prime. The He-Man went on Target.com during their Friday event, which we're going to talk more about for the Target stuff. But he also went on Mattel Creations, and the Scareglow in Starscream armor was only at Mattel Creations. You needed Castle Grayskull or Club Grayskull to get it at first, but now it's available to anyone. It looks like it's still sitting there if you want to pick it up. But just some really cool. I mean, the Optimus Prime He-Man is exactly what I thought it would kind of look like if they mixed the two. After hearing that Bumblebee Man-at-Arms and Megatron Skeletor, it's a whole, what if the He-Man characters had armor that was themed to the Autobots and Decepticons, not a mixture of the two, but more of a sharing technology kind of situation. So this was kind of what my wheelhouse was rolling around thinking Optimus Prime armored He-Man would look like, and it looks incredible. There was a rumored version, like a prototype, but I'm wondering if it was a fan-made one now, of one where it was the Optimus He-Man, but he was more Armada themed. So I don't know if that's going to be something they do later on. Maybe they'll do more He-Mans and different versions of Optimus Prime, or if that was just, some, made up figure or custom figure someone made, but it looked really cool. It even had the Armada Matrix and a very Armada looking Optimus armor. But knowing, these collabs they do with Motu and other things like TMNT and Thundercats, TMNT, there were like 2 versions of Mikey, 2 versions of Donnie, 2 versions of Leo, two versions, I think, of He-Man, one where he was a mutant, one where he was just wearing like turtle-like armor, I think. So I'm sure we'll get more than just these 4 that we've gotten so far. Even if we don't, I'm glad to get Starscream, Bumblebee, Optimus, and Megatron using Scareglow, Skeletor, He-Man, and Man-at-Arms. I think that's really cool. But yeah, if you want to pick them up, they are available. And another Friday has come by during the Target Fall Geek-Out, and we have a look at some more awesome stuff. This time was kind of mostly wrestling, but in a way was Mattel in general, because when all the wrestling figures went up, there were 5 in total. That's when the He-Man that we talked about a while back, Optimus Prime, went up. And on top of that, this really awesome Stranger Things X Mo2 went live of a glow-in-the-dark Hordak, which is really tempting. And then the part that even makes it better, Hellfire-Man as a character. So it's the Hellfire Club character that's on the shirts in the show, turned into a character that looks really awesome. That is also available at Target. It's exclusive there. They have had a Skeletor and He-Man one with other characters too that are themed from it. I think it was a Demogorgon, and then the main bad guy from the season with the Hellfire Club. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but so this is the 3rd one they've done now, and I know the other 2 have gone on clearance, so that's why I'm kind of like, do I wait? Will it go down in price? But it is only $35 to begin with, which is pretty good. So yeah, so those were the items that went up for the Target Geek Out. The wrestling was the main thing, but we got some Mo2 collabs at the same time that kind of snuck in with that, kind of like the G.I. Joe 2-pack did when it was Hasbro stuff for Marvel and Transformers. And in McFarlane toy news, we have some amazing things to talk about. First up is the Fallout stuff. We got more Fallout TV series figures with the ghoul both in his ghoul form and his actor form, which is really cool looking. We got the power armored characters of the father and the Brotherhood of Steel character. I forgot all their names, I feel bad. And then the, was it the cousin of the girl in the vault? I don't know if they were like cousin or if they were actually cousins. I can't remember from the season. I'll have to catch up before season 2 airs, or maybe it already has aired. But anyways, so we got some really cool Fallout figures. They're hitting Target shelves right now. They're really cool. And on that note, I actually spotted these at Target when I was recently hunting for toys. It is that of the Rainbow Batman, which is the different colored Batman suits all combined into a rainbow one, which is really cool. So I guess this is a red stickered platinum figure. I didn't know this was coming out, but here it is. And then the pink one, which finishes up the single colors. So now we've got an orange, yellow, green, purple, pink, and then of course the original blue suit that came out first that they've all been using that mold for. And now we've got finally the rainbow suit. So those will be popping up, I'm sure, at Targets. I don't know if they're Target exclusives or if they're going to be at Walmart and GameStop as well, or even on Amazon, but they are the red sticker labeled ones. So it's very cool. So definitely check your local Targets if you are collecting the rainbow suited Batmans for the fun of it. And that's pretty much everything we have for McFarlane this week. Something I just want to talk about real fast. I don't collect Hot Toys. They're very tempting, but this week there was quite a few Hot Toys that went live. I think there was an Anakin Skywalker, I think maybe even a Harley Quinn. But the one that stuck out to me was the Terminator 2 T800, I believe it is. This looks incredible. It is, of course, a 12-inch scale. I think it's 1/6 scale is what they say. It's 12-inch scale, Terminator, which just looks really incredible. When you have a bigger figure, you can get more articulation, more detail, and this definitely has it. So I just wanted to cover it because it looked really cool. I won't be getting it because I don't want to, go from 6-inch to 12-inch. I like the 6-inch scale. It kind of works between 12 and 3-inch, and even 3-inch is, more my wheelhouse than 12-inch, but it is a really cool looking figure. And I just wanted to cover it here because it's awesome. And in more Loose Collectors news, or Loose Collectibles, I always get the name mixed up in my head. We have a look at a gray prototype of the Chupacabra they are doing, and get a bit of a scale comparison with their 12-inch figure that they have here of a special ops character. And I'm very excited for this. We've talked about the Bigfoots here that have come out, the 3 different ones, the Bigfoot, the Yeti, and then the darker Bigfoot, and how cool these figures are. As a fan of, cryptids and paranormal stuff and aliens and things, and just thinking that stuff is really cool. This is just awesome, and I'm hoping that we'll get more news on it soon. I know there's a lot of fall events happening that are kind of smaller toy conventions and events and stuff like that, like Legion's Con. I think Joe Fest just happened. But I think there's one other one where they might be at that hopefully they'll have, people kind of in person being able to see and take photos of it. But I'm very excited. And there is, images of the Dogman they're doing. I think we covered it here a while back. But I'm just very excited for this one because it's perfectly to scale with 12-inch, in my opinion, of what I would assume the Chupacabra would look like, the one with the spines and stuff. But yeah, just really awesome. And real fast in NECA toy news, we got a look at the New York Comic Con TMNT exclusive, and I'm tempted to get it because it is Train Conductor Shredder, and I love trains. They're one of my favorite things, along with dinosaurs and robots and cryptids and stuff. And even though it's just a wacky version of Shredder, it's kind of tempting because he's got the Train Conductor outfit from that episode. That I can't remember the name of the episode, but Shredder is, pretend to be a train conductor, but not doing a great job at it. This is something that is definitely perfect as an exclusive, something you don't really need in your collection. It's just a random, dorky little thing, but I think it's really cool, and I wanted to cover it here real fast. And we're getting ready for New York Comic Con news, so I'm hoping to see more and more toy stuff showing off in the coming weeks. And in some non-toy news, and in more of food news, which I occasionally cover here when I think something is really cool. As a fan of Choco Tacos, who the Klondike company discontinued, it broke my heart when that happened because I remember reading Choco Tacos all the time as a kid. Well, Taco Bell is coming out with the help of, I believe it is Salt and Straw, to give us Choco Tacos that they're calling Choco. I know it says it right there, but I can't think of it on the top of my head. But it's really cool. It's pretty much a Choco Taco. And the best part is Taco Bell's going to have 2 sauces that will go with it that you can put on it. So it's even making it even more of a cool thing they're doing. I have been enjoying the Taco Bell stuff they've been doing recently to kind of promote the decades foods, getting the apple empanada back. And I think Taco Bell used to sell Choco Tacos for a while, I think, in their stores. So this is kind of cool to see this happening. Not to mention I've heard great things about Salt and Straw and their ice cream. If you've ever been to downtown Disney, they have a store there, and you can always smell the waffle cones being made. It's incredible. And movie news, some really exciting movie news. We have a look at a Simpsons poster for a Simpsons movie 2. We haven't had a Simpsons movie in a long time, but it looks like Disney has gone, hey, you know what? We have Fox, we have the Simpsons. We need to get people in the theaters. Let's make a movie. And so it will be coming out in 2027. It's a bit of a wait, like a lot of the cool movies that have been announced this year, but it makes sense. They got to make them. But yeah, I'm really excited for this one. It's going to be exciting to see Homer and the whole family on the screen again. And real fast before we get into the comics this week that look incredible, it is October, so Halloween is upon us. Don your spooky, scary costumes and have a wonderful start of fall. But most of all, if you have a local comic shop that is participating in the Trick or Read event they're doing, you can go to your local comic shop, and depending on what your comic shop does, they're either free or free with purchase or something like that. So there's quite a few titles from Marvel to Dark Horse to Boom Studios, I believe it is, and I think maybe even IDW. But here's a couple shown here. There's a Venom one, there's a Spider-Man one, there's a Fantastic Four versus Godzilla. There's all kinds of comics that companies that are participating and doing this, where you can get a free comic instead of candy when you go to your local comic shop. It is a really cool deal they do and promotion they do with comic shops that I really appreciate and think is awesome to get kids into reading and stuff like that, which is always a plus. So don't forget to go to your local comic shop this October. Check your local comic shop and make sure you know when they are doing the promotion, so you don't end up getting there and be like, I'm here for my Trick or Read, and they're like, oh, we're not doing that, until Halloween week, or we're not doing that till the later part of the month, because like I said, each comic shop, it varies. And in comics this week, we think look incredible. We have 6 titles to talk about this week, which is quite a bit, but there's a lot of amazing comics in the beginning of October. First up is Skybound Entertainment's Cold Slither #1, G.I. Joe Cold Slither #1. This is the comic series that is going to be talking about Cold Slither and the band and things from the perspective of them being a band and all the shenanigans that go into it. I'm very excited for this. I don't know how many issues it's going to go for, but I'm sure it's a mini series and it will be a fun one. Next up, we have a look at, I believe it's Battleship Godzilla, which looks really cool, and it takes place in space, and it's really fun looking. and that is the first issue of that comic series. And then we have a look at the last day of H.P. Lovecraft, which is a story about the last days of H.P. Lovecraft's life, and a story of his experiences, and kind of fantasized and romanticized with the usual cosmic horror stuff. As you know, he had a very rough life, kind of like Edgar Allan Poe. Most great authors of dark fiction and stuff like that, it seems like they have a pretty interesting and chaotic life, which is probably where they get a lot of the inspiration. And then we have a look at Spider-Man Noir #1. This is kind of getting people excited because there's the new TV series with Nick Cage that's going to Amazon, I believe it is, about Spider-Man Noir. It's the universe where everything is still in noir atmosphere and setting, and it's the story of Spider-Man Peter Parker, detective by PI, was it PA, or what is it, the detective by day, superhero by night kind of situation, a little different than what we're used to, with Peter being either a pizza delivery school student or a newspaper guy, to being more of a detective. And then it turns out that Gwen Stacy comes in and needs him to investigate the murder of her father, so it's really cool looking. Then we have a look at the Ghost Rider story, Spirits of Vengeance, which takes place where all the different Ghost Riders from past, present, and future have to team up to fight some evil demons, which is really cool looking. A lot of awesome characters that I'm hoping maybe will inspire Marvel Legends to come out with figures of those characters. Fingers crossed. And then finally, we have a look at Venom number 250, the big 250 celebration. And Mary Jane and Venom, as you know, are now combined together. And unfortunately, Nola's back. So poor Mary Jane has to deal with that, and Venom, of course, has to deal with that again. So it's going to be very exciting. Big 250. Congratulations, Venom. You're doing really good, and I'm very excited to see Noel back in the comics, especially since we saw him in the Sonyverse movies. A little bit, not enough in my opinion, but hopefully we see more of that character in the future, because it's really awesome, god of the symbiotes kind of situation. But yeah, that's the comics this week we think look incredible. Like always, stop at your local comic shop, pick up some awesome comics, see what's new, and just have a wonderful time. And this week in our Creative Corner, we have a look at a very fresh account on Instagram, that of @Sanctum Centaurium Toys on Instagram. And this is a really fresh account. I think they started in September to spotlight their creation of a 6-inch scale Sanctum Centaurium. I hope I'm saying that right. Sanctum Centaurium, which is Doctor Strange's house in New York, as we all know, who are Marvel fans. Doctor Strange and from the MCU and stuff like that. And it's just incredible looking. As you can see, I have images of the process of what they started with to how it ended, and they did an incredible job. But they also do some customs of their own, including Doctor Strange themed characters, and a Conan in the Marvel Legends line kind of situation, taking the Toy Biz era pieces and I think it's Quasar the Barbarian from the Savage Land. I hope that's the name. No, maybe that's not the name, but you know who I'm talking about. And combining them both to make a Marvel Legends scale Savage Conan to go with his collection, which is a really cool idea. I keep hoping that we will get ability for Marvel to do that like they did Rom Space Knight and Crystar in the future, but there are plenty of other toys out there to do that with, that kind of matchup, since he is a bulkier character than a lot of the Marvel characters when it comes to a standard hero body. But yeah, just really awesome stuff. We also have what looks like a Hellfire Club living quarter space they can kind of gather in, and Logan can come and try to attack them. Just some really awesome Marvel Legends stuff. Like I said, they're a rather new account, so definitely go give them a follow if you're a Marvel fan, or you like custom figures, or even custom display pieces, which just looks really awesome. I can't get over how cool this looks, and it makes me want to go to a Goodwill and look for doll houses that I can, go, hey, that can turn into that. It kind of reminds me of the old X Mansion that someone did a while back. I think we even covered them a while ago on here. Just really cool stuff when people do that, especially when you can find a house that matches up with Marvel Legends, because I can't imagine that's really easy, since most, doll houses are for like 12-inch dolls to 4-inch dolls. So really awesome work here. But like I said, go to Instagram. The link is in the description down below for their profile. Give them the follows, give them the likes. There's only, I think, about 20 plus posts so far. So you could definitely go through and love all those and support them. Share it with your friends of Marvel Legends or Customs, and just look how amazing this is. I'm so excited about it. It's really cool looking. I hope to see more photos of other characters like Spider-Man and stuff like that with it in the future, maybe kind of showcasing the inside a little bit more. But if it is just an exterior piece, it does the job perfectly. I love that they have Doctor Strange walking his dog. That is the ghost dog. I forget the name of, but yeah, like I said, really cool stuff. I'm gonna stop rambling on. Definitely go check them out after the video. And that about wraps it up. Thanks for stopping by. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section. If you're feeling generous, share it. And thank you so much for watching. Till next time, bye.